Oh, man. So what has my coach and y'all's pastor?
Where's the IAG? Where's the IAG?
For real. What has y'all's pastor for real?
Where's the IAG?
What has he been up to?
Where's the IAG?
Has he posted any of the Disney World footage yet?
Where's the IAG?
Not yet.
Where's the IAG?
Even though he knows his steady Tim supporters are chomping at the bit for those Disney World videos. They want to see what happens when the boys are exposed to the real world. They want to see what happens when Tim is exposed to the real world. They want to see Tim out there saying yes, sir, and no, ma'am. Contrary to how he interacts with folks of his same, what are we going to call it? Same culture, same skin color, same racial background. Okay. And so I know some of his heavy Tim followers, they want to see how he interacts with the yes, sir, and yes, ma'am. But has he posted any of those Disney World videos, any of those videos yet? No. So we can look forward to about a week's worth of Disney World videos. Or really, they can look forward to a week's worth of it, yes? I'm going to make the assumption that most of those videos are going to come from them driving to the Disney World and from them driving back, returning back from the Disney World, yes? Of course, there's going to be some video footage of them inside of their hotel room, their hotel, their motel, or their Holiday Inn. Are they not staying with family members? Persona non grata? No. No family members down that way that would accept them, that would take them in. So they got to stay at the hotel or the motel. Oh, is that okay? So we can expect most of the footage to be from that. Is that right? Okay. Well, all right. All right. So we'll still waiting for that. So what else? What else has he been up to? Oh yeah. Okay. He's still knee deep into this beast mode thing. He's still trying to defend this supposed beast mode, by trying to relate it to the lion in the Bible, and he's trying to reflect it as him being in beast mode. Is that right? Okay. All right. What else has he been up to? Oh, yeah? Is he ignoring the comments when he does leave his comments open on these trailer trashes, trailer pieces of trashes? And I'm not talking about a Hema. That's another piece of trailer trash. But I'm talking about on these promos or these previews, when he's leaving his comments open and some of his concerned viewers are asking about Grandma Lily. Is he ignoring those comments? Pretty much. Is he ignoring them by necessity? Has Grandma Lily stipulated that he not use her name or her image or her likeness in any shape or form? Has she stipulated that? Has one of her brothers or sisters stipulated? Have they cut off the Resurrection Ranch? As far as Grandma Lily being promoted as the previous supposed face of the Resurrection Ranch? Possibly. Or did Tim cut it off and he's not, right? So, but he's ignoring those messages. He's ignoring those questions about Grandma Lily. He won't take a hint. Is that right? Well, okay. Has he been up to anything else that I missed? How's it coming along with the supposed happy? How's it coming with the happy camper? How's the happy camper coming along? What did I miss? Nothing. It's as smelly. It's as moldy as it was previously. Is that right? Are the mice and the rats still taking up residence in the happy? Are the mice, the rats, the raccoon, the possum, the skunk, are they happily taking up residence in that raggedy old happy camper? Most likely. Is that right? Have the spiders returned? Most likely. Is that right? Well, what else? What else has he been up to? Oh, yeah? Not much. Okay, and so the P2P sit down podcast, has he put that on pause just a little bit? Just a little bit. Okay, and so any P2Ps that we see now have been pre-recorded. Is that right? Okay, and so there's a good chance that he recorded about 3 or 4 of them in the one sit down. Is that right? Well, I know that recent one was just full of rambling and full of nonsense, full of contradiction, full of goofiness. Okay, and so I can imagine if he tried to film 3 or 4 of them in the one sitting, I can just imagine what in the world would that empty content be full of? What would it be full of? But all right, has he been up to anything? Anything else? Nothing really. Well, all right. Welcome back to the end game, where today I'm going to give my reaction to the recent trailer trash, where Tim talks about what is it? First he said, well, if it was easy, then anyone or everyone. I'm sorry. He said if it was easy, then everyone would do it. And I'm like, what are we referring to here? Are we referring to tearing off some raggedy old, outdated 10 siding off of a single wide? Are we talking about that? If it was easy, then everyone would tear the 10 off of their single wides. Is that what, is that what he's saying? If it was easy, then everyone would find mold infested, termite infested insulation after they tore off the side. Is that what he's referring to? If it was easy to find the termites, if it was easy to find the water damaged, if it was easy to find various insects living within that siding, yes. Dry rotted wood. If it was easy to find dry rotted wood, then everyone would do it. Is that what he was referring to? Or was he referring to taking like 3 days to pull the gutters off of the mobile home? And he was saying if it was easy, then everyone would take the gutters off of their single wide. is that what he's referring to? No. What is he talking about? If it was easy, then everyone would do it. Is he talking about scamming? He's saying if scamming was easy, then everyone would do it. But hold on, I thought a few weeks ago, a month ago, maybe a couple months ago, he sat on his side-by-side. He declared that it was too easy. He said it's too easy. Yes? Manipulating my followers and my donors is too easy. Soliciting tips, gifts, offerings, tithes, okay, under the heading of a non-existent ministry is just too easy. He said it was too easy. And so what is he talking about now that if it was easy, then everyone would do it? What is he talking about? Misusing his mama? Huh? Programming his wife? What are we talking about? Brainwashing his spouse? What are we talking about? What is he saying? If it was easy, then everyone would do it. Neglecting your children's education? Okay. Abandoning your wife to be a single mom, a single parent of 4 boys? What is he talking? What is the easy stuff that he's talking about? What is he talking about? But all right, so I'm going to give my reaction to that recent trailer trash. He also talked about it being a tough week. Okay, and so now we know, first of all, we know that my coach and y'all's pastor, we know that he's prone to exaggerate. Yes? And I'm putting it lightly. Okay, others say that he's prone to lie. He's prone to mistruths. Yes? He's prone to deception. So I'm going to say he's prone to exaggerate when it comes to timing, when it comes to anything related to numbers, actually. Okay, and so some people say, well, if he says it took him a week or it was a tough week, then it was 2 weeks. Okay? But he says it was a tough week, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm trying to put the numbers together. Because I'm a numbers guy. I'm trying to put the numbers together, and I'm like, okay, so now removing the gutters should have taken 3 hours at best. At best. I'm being generous. 3 hours to remove the gutters. Okay? Removing the skirting, 1 hour. 1 hour at best, and that's with Tim taking his usual breaks. Okay, that's with Tim taking his breakfast break, his pre-lunch break, his lunch break, his post-lunch break, and his early dinner break. Okay? All right, so the skirting is another hour. Taking the 10 off of the front. And I'm talking about only the front. Only the front. Okay, so bear in mind, unlike that shed shack over there that has 2.5 walls, okay, this single wide actually has the 4 walls. Okay, that any structure that qualifies as being a space, a habitable space, normally we got to have 4 walls. Yes, otherwise it's a porch. Okay. So now taking the 10 off of that, just the front of the single wide, I'm going to give him 3 hours. I'm going to give him 3 hours because we know he has to take some breaks in between. So I'm going to give him 3 hours for that. All right. Now removing the windows, I'll give him a couple hours for removing the windows. Putting in the new, putting on the weather wrap. We'll give him a couple hours to put on the weather wrap. Installing the windows. Maybe let's give him another 3 hours to install the windows. I don't know. You guys want to give him 4 hours? You want to give him 4 hours for the patio door? If you want to give him 4 hours for the patio door, we can do that. And then what else? What else did he accomplish out there? Okay. Because I'm totaling somewhere around 18 hours. Okay. If you want to give him a little bit more leeway, okay, you can say it took him about 20 hours. All right. You want to give him a little bit of leeway. Yes. If you want to add in more and more breaks, more and more breaks. Okay. Considering that the fact that my coach is constantly trying to establish more and more abundance for his belly, more and more abundance. Yes. Okay. You can say, well, okay, maybe 24 hours. Yes. And so 24 hours, if he's supposedly in this beast mode. Okay. If they supposedly threw all the rules out of the window. Yes. If supposedly they're breaking out all of the rules around that firm. Yes. Then he would have done it, completed that work in less than 24 hours. Yes. But let's say he did 24 hours of work, moving at Tim's a reasonable pace for a person that is low skilled. Okay. A person that has low energy, low motivation, low inspiration. Yes. All right. And so now 24 hours, if he's only doing 8 hours per day, that's 3 days. That's 3 days. So let's just talk about a tough week. Okay. We talking about a 5-day work week. Okay. Because I know we're definitely not talking about a 7-day work week. Yes. And considering that you guys are home based in your business dealings, okay, you would not abide by a typical 5-day work week. Yes. Especially when you run the risk of things flying into the window, insects and whatnot, crawling into the openings, getting into the insulation, raccoons crawling up into the bedroom, while it's waiting for that new patio door to be installed. Okay. So 3 days at best. That's definitely not 5 days. Okay. If you were truly in some form of beast mode, you will be working 7 days. Okay. And so how could it be a tough week if at best it's 3 days worth of work for one individual? I'm not talking about for a contractor. Yes. And so I know that's sometimes how he tries to confuse you ready Tim writers. I know he tries to use that to distract you heavy Tim supporters when he talks about him doing things that are not supposed to be humanly possible. Okay, so I'm talking about these hours that I'm adding up. I'm talking about for one individual. And that individual I'm talking about is Tim. Okay, with all his breaks, 24 hours. Yes, 3 days. Okay, that's if he's doing 8-hour days. He should be doing more because it's his own house. Yes, and everything is on pause while he's doing that. Okay. All right, I don't know if the kids are Megan, if they're escaping out the back door. But certainly they're not coming out of that front door considering that the stairs have been pulled or removed. Yes. Okay. But he talks about it being a tough week. I don't see it. The math ain't mathing, as they say. It doesn't add up. Okay. But in any case, I'm going to give my reaction to that video here. All right. So Tim, once again, going against what he promised you woeful Tim worshipers. Yes. He promised you guys that these trailers would be a replacement for the intros. But why does he have a 2-minute intro to the promo for the preview? What am I missing? What am I missing here? Okay, he said no more intros. We've got a 2-minute intro. All right. Okay. But now he opens this particular intro by showing some flashbacks to the ministry work that they did, I don't know, at least 6 years ago. At least 6 years ago. Bygone. Days long past, yes? Okay, prehistoric ministry work. Prehistoric. Obsolete. Stale. Moldy. Yes? Just like that dry, rotted wood, yes? Okay, his ministry has been dry, rotted. It's been dry, yes? We already talked, well, they talked about dry bones. I talked about dry lips. I talked about dry lips and having some life to you, okay, yes? As a pastor, okay, you have to use your lips, yes? Speak the word, share the word, interpret the word, yes? Okay, but so I talked about with them having this dormant ministry, I talked about the dry lips, okay? And so now he chooses to use the intro time to flashback to this ministry work, this old ministry work. I'm not sure why, but he flashes back. And of course, one of his favorite clips is of him being a guest speaker in a church. Yes. The one time that he was invited into a church because apparently they didn't know any better. They didn't know any better. Yes. And so Tim gets up there with his only sermon, his single sermon. Yes. And he talks about, well, if I change, then everything around me must change. Yes. And he's trying to get the church or the congregation to follow in his little chant, because we know he's big on chants. Yes. Remember he had that book of chants. He's like, well, let me try it. If I change, then everything around me must change. Okay. Not realizing that it's actually, if everything around me changes, I must change. Yes. The Megan story. Yes. Okay. So when everything around her changes, when she's locked on a farm, okay, when she's isolated from her family. Yes. Okay. When she's abandoned without a vehicle. Okay, that means everything around her has changed. When she's starting to have to portray this image, okay, portray a certain character for the sake of the IAG content, everything around her changes. Yes, it changes. And as a result, Megan too has changed. Okay, and so, Coach, I'm going to recommend you go back to your book of chants. Yes, okay, scribble out that if I change everything around, scribble that out, Coach. Scribble that out, okay? And actually, you should scribe in there, if everything around me changes, then I must change. All right? But he chants it. Of course, the congregation is like, okay, what is this dude talking about? Okay, I thought we were coming from the Bible. Why is he making up stuff and adding it in? Okay, and so they give a lukewarm response. And of course, my coach, being who he is, not getting the reaction that he was hoping for, that he thought he would get. Just like those foolish P2P motivations. Ha! Okay, he wasn't getting the reaction that he thought he would get. Okay, so the congregation, they gave him a lukewarm response. Well, if we change, then everything around him. Tim started yelling at him. Okay, I'm like, okay, what kind of pastor is forcing things on the congregation? Tim said, "Hold on, louder. If I change," he got angry with it. Yes, I guess that was the beast coming out of him. At an early stage, yes. Bear in mind, he was just recently released from prison. So I guess that was the beast, the early rearing of the head of the beast. Just, if I change, say it. All right, Coach. All right, so they open up with that. All right, so what else? Once we get past the intro, what else do you have to share with us in this promo for the preview, Coach? What else? Tim talks about the mission stays the same. And of course, I'm like, which mission are we referring? Which mission are you referring to, Coach? Okay, because from what I understand, you sold Megan on this IAG conglomerate. Okay, IAG businesses. You sold Megan that we can have these IAG businesses. We can label everything with IAG in order to promote the business. Yes. Okay, in order to play on folks' religious emotions, we can promote everything as being IAG. Yes, we'll just label everything, Megan. Yes, just throw it at the wall and see what sticks. Yes, okay. If we want to build kennels, we'll call them IAG kennels. Okay, if we want to breed dogs, we'll call it IAG breeding. Okay, I understand that even my coach even came up with the concept of an IAG orphanage. Now talk about pulling at the heartstrings of Megan. Young, naive, impressionable. She wasn't so young. Desperate, naive, impressionable Megan. Talk about an orphanage. Now, but okay. All right. So now you talk about the mission hasn't changed. So now the question is, which mission? Certainly the walk by faith mission has changed. There hasn't been any walking by faith ministry for 5, 6, 7 years. Certainly that mission has changed. Mission of providing farm fresh food. Certainly that mission has changed. Okay, so which mission are we referring to that has not changed, Coach? We need you to articulate this, Coach. Because based on what we're seeing, based upon what we've seen over the past 5, 6 years, with the seasons changing regularly, sporadically, spontaneously, spontaneously changing. Okay, we're not sure which mission you're referring to at this point, Coach. But do tell, Coach. Do tell.
Where's the IAG? 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 Where's the IAG?
Tim talks about scripture as it relates to the wicked fleeing when no man is in pursuit. And I'm like, okay, so we're talking about when you guys hightailed it out of Jackson under the cover of darkness. Is that what we're talking about? When you sold off Megan's legacy or her inheritance property at a discount, yes, to a wholesaler, yes. We talking about that type of fleeing, the wicked fleeing. The wicked fleeing. Are we talking about you locking the farm gates? Okay, you shutting down back when you used to have those work teams coming out and you shut that down. You're like, I can't have all these outside influences. I can't have all these people that are stronger in the Bible than I am. I can't have all those folks floating around this farm. Okay. Heaven forbid that Megan, heaven forbid that she fellowship with like-minded folks as far as the scripture goes. So we know you fled from having work groups out at the farm. We know that ultimately you locked the farm gates. Okay, now isn't that similar to fleeing? If you're if you're locking the farm gates, isn't that like fleeing from the outside world? Okay, when you determined that Megan would not leave that farm unless you allowed her to leave, or unless you carried her, unless you went with her, unless the boys went with Megan. Okay, doesn't that represent that you're trying to separate Megan from the outside world? Okay, in effect, you're fleeing the outside influences that might benefit Megan's decision making, might benefit Megan's health around that farm. Okay, aren't you fleeing? In a sense, aren't you fleeing from the outside world? Aren't you fleeing from potential positive influences on Megan? Yes, when you claim that you can't have contractors out to your farm because they are like germs. Okay, you can't have helpers out to the farm because they are like germs. Now, do those germs include Grandma Lily? You can't have Grandma Lily out to the farm anymore to do work because she represents a germ. She's infectious to what you're trying to do out at that farm. Is that what we're talking about? Okay, but you talk about the fact that the righteous are bold as a lion. Bold in what regard, Coach? All I see is cowardice. That's all I see. Cowardice. I see bullying. I see domination. Okay? And domination doesn't reflect being bold. Yes? I see domination and attempts at annihilation. Okay? Annihilation of Megan's personality. Annihilation of Megan's being. Yes? Her individuality. Okay? Her spiritual strength. I see annihilation there, Coach. Okay? And so you say, well, we're in this season. And you display as a representation of your boldness, you display that you have a trailer full of trash. A trailer full of trash. And I'm not talking about him. I'm not talking about the trailer trash over there. I'm not talking about your preview, the trailer trash. I'm talking about the trailer, the actual trailer that's hitched onto your truck that's full of trash. Okay? And you talk about the trash that's over there in the dumpster. And so you say, well, this is a representation of our boldness. And I'm like, okay, coach, how is that how does that represent you being bold? How does that represent courage? Okay, we know that you're at your best when you're surrounded by trash. We know that you're comfortable. You're in your element when you're surrounded by debris. Okay, when you have junk piles littered throughout the property, we know that you're at your best. You're in your comfort zone. And so if you're in your comfort zone around trash, how does that represent you being bold? I don't see it. I don't see it, coach. But show us more, coach. Show us more.
Wicked flee when no man pursues, but the righteous are as bold as a lion. That scripture comes from Proverbs chapter 28, verse 1. And we're in this mentality, and you see it behind me. All of this on the trailer, all of this material in the dump that we rented.
Tim talks about while they're in the season of beast mode. They're aggressively and violently attacking whatever the Lord puts before them. Does that include any potential blessings? Okay, what about the blessings that the Lord puts before you? Okay, are you attacking the blessings also? Okay, if there's some blessings that are coming Megan's way, do you attack those? Okay, back when Grandma Lily was receiving some gifts from some of her subscribers, and they were her subscribers, yes. They weren't your subscribers, Tim. But back when Grandma Lily was receiving donations or tips or gifts, okay, were you violently attacking? Were you violently attacking those things that were put before you, even though they were meant for Grandma Lily? Okay, but you talk about violently attacking and being aggressive. I'm like, well, you can be aggressive without being violent. Okay, why do you have to talk about this violence? Why do you get excited when you talk about the violence? Okay, what does that stir up in you? What does that stir up in? Does this beast mode, this new beast mode, does that just allow you to flow freely in your comfort zone, in your element? Okay, as being a violent felon, yes. Okay, but you talk about attacking the things that the Lord puts before you. All right, now everything does not require aggression. You can say aggressively, but everything does not require aggression. Everything certainly does not require violence. Okay. Hopefully what the Lord is putting before you requires a certain amount of spirituality. Okay. A certain amount of kindness. Yes. But tell us more, coach. Tell us more.
We have this mentality in this season that we're calling beast mode. You know what I'm saying? And that just means that we're aggressively and violently attacking whatever the goal is that the Lord puts before us. You know, we're not accepting no for an answer, because we've had some situations.
Tim talks about in them aggressively attacking. When he says they have been, or we have been aggressively and violently attacking things, he's talking about himself. Okay, he's talking about certain things that they've been confronted with and working on the front. And we're just talking about the front of the mobile home, yes? Okay? For all we know, he's going to eventually abandon the backside, yes? Just like on that shed shack where he said, well, I don't need to put up the wooden fascia on the front. I don't need to put up the wooden fascia on the front side of the roof, because no one sees that except for the neighbors. And we know I don't care about what my neighbors see over here. Yes, we don't care about the fact that we're an eyesore in the community. Okay, we don't care about the fact that they may be calling code violation as we speak. Yes, we don't care about the fact that they have to suffer through the stench of these various pigsties / pig pens with this raggedy old mini barn. Yes. We don't care about that stuff. And so don't be surprised if my coach eventually abandons the backside of Hema. Okay? Because no one will ever see it. Now, bear in mind, almost no one will ever see even the front of him. Okay? Just like that wreath. Remember that wreath that one of his faithful donors sent them? And they quickly defaced it and they got rid of the IAG Farms on it. And I'm like, wait, hold on. I thought it was all about God. But they quickly defaced that. They got rid of that. Said, no, we can't receive that because, it's got to go to Resurrection Ranch. We can't take any more donations for the IAG. Okay, and they're talking about, we want to be welcoming. When someone comes up to our doorstep, we want to be welcoming. We want to have some type of scripture up there so it'll be welcoming. Okay, and then, of course, over the course of the next several months, we've observed that no one goes up to the stairs of their mobile home. Other than Benjamin. I guess he could go up now. Other than Benjamin, Noah, Titus, and Junior, Megan, what used to be Grandma Lily, and of course, the big old himself. Okay, and so no one's going to see the front of the mobile home other than Megan. Certainly, no one's going to see the backside. So don't be surprised. Don't be surprised if my coach eventually abandons, he eventually neglects. He eventually changed the season on the backside of the mobile home, just leaves it as is, and just makes a concerted effort not to show it on video anymore. Don't be surprised. Okay. But Tim talks about the fact that, okay, well, when they were working on ripping off the tin, they had some windows that told them no. And I'm like, here we go again with the inanimate object speaking to my coach, speaking to y'all's pastor. Okay. The windows told him no. Okay, he said that the patio door told him no. Okay. Now, is that similar to how you guys said that? Well, the camper, what used to be the resurrection camper, has an identity. Okay, so back when you labeled that camper with a human identity, a human emotion of being happy. Is that similar when you talk about, well, the window said no, the patio door said no? All right, okay, what are we talking about? Okay, but then you jump in and say, well, the rain said no. And I'm like, well, if anything, especially with you being a pastor, if anything, you should have said God said no. When God sent the rain, he said no. Okay, or at least he said slow down. At least he said slow down. Spend some time with your family, yes? Instead of finding excuses to be out of the house, spend some time helping out Megan with those 4 boys. Okay? Chip in on the homeschool to the extent that you can. Okay? Well, maybe God was trying to slow you down. I don't know if God was saying no by sending the rain, yes? But God didn't send the windows. God didn't send the patio door. And also, they certainly do not have human emotions. They're not human beings, yes? Get some real friends, coach. Get some real friends, yes? And then you wouldn't have to befriend. You wouldn't have to talk to windows. You wouldn't have to talk to and have dialogue with doors. For heaven's sake, coach. Or I should say, for your sake.
Situations with taking off this siding and replacing the siding on our mobile home, and y'all will see it in the videos to come. But we've had some situations where this mobile home has told us no. Like the patio door told us no. Like a window here or there told us no. Like it was raining and storming and it was trying to tell us no. But we were not willing to accept no for an answer. And we have
Tim talks about them being in beast mode, yes? And first of all, we know that Megan is not in beast mode, okay? If anything, Megan's in survival mode, yes? And she's been in survival mode at least for the past few years, yes? And then now with this homeschooling debacle, she's absolutely in survival mode, yes? And she's sinking. Fortunately, the other day on the P2P sit-down nodcast, she admitted that she didn't know what she was doing. Okay, so not only was she flailing her arms and trying to survive as an educator, but she was sinking. She was trying, but she was sinking. Okay, and some people would say that she drowned. Educationally or academically, she drowned. Okay, and by her own admission, yes. And so hopefully, maybe next round of homeschooling will be more successful for her, or rather for the boys. But so when you talk about being in beast mode, we know that that only refers to you, coach. Okay. And so don't be pulling Megan into it to make it sound better. Yes. You're the only one in beast mode around there. Yes. And of course, some of your long-term viewers will say that you've been in beast mode for years. He never came out of back when he was 15, 16, 17, running the streets, ganging and banging, running and gunning. He was in beast mode as an early teen. He may have never come out of beast mode. He just suppressed it a little bit. Okay. He concealed it a little bit. So there's some people that say the beast mode that you speak of now, the beast was there. It was just being suppressed. It was just being concealed over the years. But it's coming out more and more as you display certain frustrations with your monetization, certain frustrations with your viewership, certain frustrations with the reactions and the reaction channels and the comments in the reaction channels and the subscribers of the reaction channels. Okay. So that some people say, well, that beast mode is just coming back to the surface. That's all it is. The beast, release the beast. Okay. The beast has resurfaced. Yes. But you talk about how you pulled off all of that trash from the front of the mobile home. And you talk about we have literally. Okay. And we know every time you say the word literally, it means that it has not happened. Okay. All right. We know sometimes you mean to say figuratively. Yes. But in your case, with your exaggerations, with your stretching of the truth, we know whenever you say literally, it implies that it has never happened. It hasn't happened at all. But you say we have literally transformed the look of the front. Now, you do qualify it by saying the front of your mobile home. Okay? Transform the look. And I'm like, okay, well, most people would say that it looked better when it was covered in tin than it does when it just has the weather wrap on it. Okay? Most people would say it's a more secure structure. It was more secure when it had the tin attached to it. Okay, some people would say that it was a more completed look back when it had the skirting on it. And so you talk about transforming the look. I guess you could say that, but you try to build it up as if it's some type of improvement. Okay, simply having some windows in place and having some weather wrap, that's not like a full transformation. Okay, that doesn't show progression. It's progression from what it looked like after you tore the tin off and all that raggedy old siding was hanging out. That's the progression. But as far as comparing it to what it looked like previously when it still had that outdated tin, that rusty old tin attached, the transformation has not happened yet. Not yet, coach. Okay, we still have like a month's worth of videos, a month's worth of videos before we can see the transformation on the front. Just the front. I'm talking about just the front of that sardine can of a single wide. But tell us more, coach. Tell us more.
Been fully in beast mode. Like I say, all of this material that y'all see on this trailer, on the dump trailer that we're gonna get the material right here put onto, is like all of this has come off of our home, and we literally have like completely transformed the look already. And I'm just gonna walk. I'm gonna let y'all look at it behind me. I'm not even gonna hide it from you anymore because we have some like amazing videos to come. Y'all see that patio door? For real. It tried to tell us no.
And we do have a little bit of bad news. The first round wood, this whole section, we haven't encountered any round wood, but now we've encountered our first piece of round wood.
Leave it at the altar, God. I'll leave it at the altar, God. I'll leave it at the altar, God. Oh. Yeah.
All right, Megan is there to support her husband, yes, build up his ego, pat him on the back, stroke him on the shoulder, yes, help him with some of his many insecurities, yes. And so she talked about, well, now that you have the entire front with the OSB, and she was about to say, now that you have the entire front finished But she said, no, let me not do like Tim does. Okay, let me not exaggerate. Okay, and let me not border on telling a lie. Okay, and so she said she's about to say having the entire front finished, but she said now that you have the entire front with no 10, I'm like, all right. And she's like, wait, you need to just step back. I wish you could step back and see it. And I'm like, okay, we do understand that Tim has no contracting experience. We do understand that, yes. Okay, but if he were a true contractor, yes. Okay, if he was an authentic homeowner, no contractor would step back from putting up OSB, okay, with a gaping hole in the wall to their bedroom and simply have OSB. No contractor would step back from merely having OSB in place and be in awe of what they see. Okay? No contractor would do that. No homeowner. If anything, an authentic homeowner would be nervous right about now. Nervous. Especially if they knew Tim's workmanship. If they knew Tim's work history, yes? They would be nervous right about now. Okay? Wondering if they're going to have to sleep in a plastic covered bedroom with the opening covered in plastic, merely plastic, yes? Okay? And so as a homeowner, we do understand you're trying to support your husband, trying to build him up, yes? Trying to magnify his insignificance on that firm. Yes. We do understand as you being the head of the household, you have to build up Tim. You have to build him up. Boost up his confidence from time to time. We do understand that, yes? Being the leader, yes? One sign of a good leader is being able to promote the folks around them, yes? Okay? Being able to make the folks around them better. So we do understand what you're doing here, Megan, yes? But there's no way in the world that Tim should step back from having that trailer covered in OSB and say, well done. Well done. Not nearly done.
It was starting to look different with the OSB up, but now that you have like the entire front, like no 10, like I can't wait till you step back and see it.
Tim remind us that the kitchen window tried to tell him no by simply asking to be installed properly. Okay, I guess when the window noticed that it was being installed sideways or upside down, I guess the window said, that's not it. That's not it. Yes. Prison flashback. But Tim also said, well, you see that other window tried to tell me no. Okay, and so Tim says, well, when I was pulling out the window, it literally, now this is the time where I think he got literally applied correctly. I think he got it applied correctly this time. He said, it literally shattered in my face, cut up my arm. Okay, although before he told us that it cut up his hand. But now it cut up his arm. Now, if he was using proper safety equipment, yeah, especially working around glass, if he was wearing proper safety attire, proper safety clothing, okay, then he wouldn't have to worry about getting his arms cut up or splinters or whatever, shards or what have you, yes? But he talks about the window telling him no. And I'm like, well, it's not the window that was telling you no. Okay, and then with the window, considering that it's an inanimate object, wasn't God telling you no. Okay, it was probably your own, the voices in your head, one of the voices in your head telling you no. No, Timmy, no. As in, that's not how you remove a window. Okay? The window needs to be unscrewed if you have screws in it. If it has nails need to be cut. Okay, such that you can just slide the window out, like laterally, yes? No one grabs a window and tries to bend it. No one grabs a window and tries to bend it out of its place and not expect for the glass to shatter. But we know, Coach, we know you're one for the drama, yes? We know you're looking for any opportunity to prop up this dry, empty content that your viewers have to look forward to for another 2 months. 2 months at least. So we know you're looking at ways to prop it up. And so you talk about the glass shattering in your face or whatever, Coach. That was by your own doing, Coach. The window had nothing to do with it. The window had no choice. The window had no say. Okay? Key term in there. The window had no say because it's not a person or even an entity. And it certainly doesn't have an identity like that raggedy old camper over there. But tell us more, Coach. Tell us more.
Y'all see that kitchen window? It tried to tell us no. Do y'all see that window right there? And even that window right there, it shattered in my face. Like when I took that window out right there, literally the window shattered in my face. It cut my arms up. I might have been bleeding a little bit. It tried to tell me no, but I was not willing to accept no for an answer because.
Okay, apparently Tim's multiple personalities have cropped up, yes? Apparently, okay, because he talks about being righteous and prevailing in the presence of his enemies. And he's deemed that Hema is now Goliath. I'm like, okay, all right, whoa. When did you come up with that one, Coach? We do understand that you're in full Rambo mode right about now, yes? Right about now in this trailer, we know you're in full Rambo mode. But now Hema is no longer Emma, and now Hema is Goliath. Okay, and now the mobile home is your enemy. Really? An inanimate object is your enemy. Okay, I thought that Hema was previously all about establishing more and more abundance. I thought Emma was supposed to be a reflection of God. I thought Emma had Jesus written all over her. Now you're telling us that Emma is Goliath. Emma is your enemy. Emma is an uncircumcised Philistine. What am I witnessing here, Coach? What? And when I say what, Coach, what are we witnessing here, Coach? Okay. And so now, I guess you're violently attacking your mobile home. Yes. And you talking about, well, I want you guys to see Goliath. I want you to see this giant. And I'm like, okay, when we're looking at Emma, all we see is a sardine can. All we see is a single wide. Yes. And single wides are sufficient depending upon the size of your family. It's not the single wide that's the problem. In your case, it's the homeowner first. Okay. Before that, it's the person that chose the single wide, that selected that particular single wide and claimed that it had good bones in it. Yes. All right. And so, but how in the world does that sardine can represent some sort of giant? Okay, it's inadequate. Yes, by the mere fact that you're adding on this foolish porch, and you're going to try to convert it to some livable space, and eventually you're going to move the ineffective homeschool out to the porch. That tells us that you acknowledge, although you hate to, you acknowledge the fact that the space is insufficient on the interior. Okay, your comments and your actions, they reflect that, Coach. So how now with this insufficient, this too small mobile home, now how all of a sudden is it a giant? Yes. Okay. And if it's about abundance, if it was supposedly about abundance means extra. Okay. If it's too small, it doesn't have anything to spare. There's no extra. Yes. Okay. But now you're going to claim that it's some sort of giant. It's the enemy. My mobile home is my enemy. Oh my goodness. What next? You're going to label it a hater? Are you going to label Emma as being a hater? Tell us more, Coach. Tell us more.
Guess what? The righteous are as bold as a lion. You better recognize, you better understand the level of intensity that the Lord has called us to, the level of intensity that we're able to tap into, because we have fun, we laugh and joke, but we were built on our foundation. as missionaries on the mission field, on the front line of the battle, ready to wage war against any uncircumcised Philistine that would dare to come against the armies of our God. Just like David said to Goliath. That's one of my favorite scriptures in the Bible. David walked up to this Philistine, this giant. Let me just show y'all this giant back here behind me. Let me just get back over here. Let me get back over here. I want Goliath to be behind me as I talk, as I speak on his name. You know what I'm saying? As I glorify my God in the presence of my enemies. You know what I'm saying? He prepares a table before us in the presence of our enemies. But right now, like I say, David stood in the face of the giant. You know what I'm saying? And he told that giant, he said, who is this uncircumcised Philistine that would dare to come against the armies of my God?
All right. When Tim finally finishes up with his favorite Bible story about David and Goliath, and I'm like, okay, coach, that story does not apply to every situation that you encounter in your life. Yes. Okay. And you should not be trying to apply it to every situation that you come up against, because bear in mind that sometimes you are the actual Goliath in the room. Okay. When it comes to your relationship with Megan, you would be the Goliath. Yes. Okay. Megan would be the David. When it comes to your interactions with those boys, yes. Your heavy-handedness, your intimidation, your bullying of the boys, your hazing of the boys, you would be the Goliath. Okay. So you're not always the David. All right. But you like to apply it and always try to imply that you're the David. You're always the underdog. Okay. All right. But you talk about the fact, well, you actually admit the fact that, it took about a week to tear off the siding and do the work on the front of the mobile home. And you say, well, you guys are about 3 weeks or so behind. Like, okay, I told you. Okay, the only thing different here is my coach is endorsing what I told you guys previously. Okay, he says 3 weeks or more behind. Okay, that means you're at least 5 weeks behind. At least 5 weeks, at least. I guarantee it. Keep track of it. Okay. Now, bear in mind, these trailers are 2 weeks behind by themselves. They're 2 weeks behind. Okay. And getting further behind by the posting. They're getting further and further behind. They're at least 2 weeks behind. I'm talking about the trailers. Okay. And so this stuff that he's telling you you're going to see 3 or so weeks in the future. Okay. That means you're going to see it 5 weeks into the future. Plus the 2 weeks that they're behind. So that's what, about 7 weeks? That means 2 months from now. 8 weeks? 2 months from now. You're going to finally see this work being completed on the front. Merely on the front of that raggedy old sardine can of a single wide.
I'm saying, and David conquered that thing. David annihilated that thing. David demolished that thing. And that's exactly what we're doing with this mobile home. We have completely gotten done with the OSB, the doors, windows, and everything on the front of our home for this exterior remodel. And it's just, like I said, it's been amazing. It's been a test of our faith. It's been a test of like our bond as a family. Like I said, because we've had to attack this thing together. I've been primarily doing all the work, but every now, like I said, everybody has had to make sacrifices in order to get this thing to where it's at now. And like I say, we mainly did everything we've done so far, in a week or so's time. And like I say, y'all are probably behind probably about maybe 3 weeks or so. And the videos to come are some bangers. So y'all just get ready, because on today's sneak peek, y'all.
Tim talks about the fact that I guess you're going to see some video footage. Remember, I said 2 months from now, you're going to see some footage of him taking off the skirting. Then he's going to slide over to his Second Amendment rights video, I guess. I lost track of the order of these videos. I lost track. I don't know. But he says then we're going to do Second Amendment stuff. Then we'll jump back to the exterior front work. Okay. Now I'm sure that they're gonna claim that him getting his right to bear arms back. I'm sure he's gonna claim that has Jesus written all over it. Okay, I'm sure that he's gonna claim that putting a rifle in the hands of a person that's dead set on violence, a person that has admitted that he tries to violently attack anything that's set before him. Okay, we already knew that he was about the domination. We already knew that. Okay, he already indicated that he was about annihilation, yes? And now recently he's in full beast mode, okay? And so somehow he's going to claim that God wants to put a weapon in the hands of a beastly person, a violent, beastly person. Okay, so you guys can wait. You can wait for those videos to come out, okay? I know Megan previously, she implied that it was a beautiful thing that he had his rights restored. Yes. It's a beautiful thing that he picked out a proper safe for the rifle. It's a beautiful thing. Yes. All right. The rest of us, we don't see the beauty in it. Yes. And don't put that on God. Don't put it on Jesus. Don't put it on him.
Y'all are gonna see us ripping off skirting, and after the skirting video, I think the next video may be where I restored my second amendment rights, and after that we're full go on renovation projects on our mobile home siding, and y'all just get ready, buckle up, like I said, because it's gonna be some fun ones. It's gonna be some intensity. It's gonna be some like blood, sweat, tears, literally. You know what I'm saying? It's like every single day that we worked on the
Tim talks about even with the rain and the stress that they've had around tearing off the siding or putting up the wrap or the OSB, even with that stress and strain around that, they prevailed. But he goes further to exaggerate, and he says, well, we finished off the work on the front half. Okay, so now where I come from, half would be 50%, yes? Somewhere around 50%. Yes. Okay. And that mobile home has 4 walls. Okay. And you completed windows, patio, weather wrap for only the front wall, one of the 4 walls. Okay. And so, it's not a half. Okay. I'm trying to put it lightly. I'm trying to figure out how to put this gingerly. Okay, but at best you can say a third of the mobile home. Okay, no completion, but we're just talking about OSB and wrap and windows. Yes. Okay, but tell us more, Coach. Tell us. I don't know how much longer I'm going to be able to stick around on this. Okay, because this nonsense is getting layered with the foolishness. And he's sprinkling in, the rambling is getting sprinkled in early on this one, yes? But I'll try to stick around for a few moments longer. I'll try.
home so far. It has rained us out. We had one day where it didn't rain, and so every day it was like stressful, intense. But as you see, we've gotten it done on the front half, and like I said, we're just excited to continue the process. Excited to.
Tim talks about once they complete the siding, it'll be a full reflection of God, and I'm like, and it's gonna be a reflection of the abundance that has been bestowed in their lives. And I'm like, okay, now, first of all, when did it happen that putting barn siding up on your house would qualify as a reflection of God? Okay. At a more accurate level, when did we get to the point where putting up shed siding, applying shed siding to your primary residence? Okay. When did we get to the point that reflected abundance? How does having shed siding up, how does that reflect abundance? Okay. But tell them anything, Coach. And I'm talking about your woeful Tim worshipers. Yes. I'm not talking about the rest of us. I'm not talking about the discerning viewers. I'm not talking about the critical thinkers and the critical observers out here. I'm talking about your Ready Tim writers, your Woeful Tim worshipers. Tell them anything, coach. Tell them anything. Just make sure you sprinkle in a little bit of Jesus. You sprinkle in a little bit of God, yes? Just sprinkle it in. And you're talking about confronting the Goliaths that have been placed in front of you. And so clearly at this point, it appears as though you're battling against yourself, coach. You're battling against your own demons, your own monsters, your own beasts, as it were. As it were, coach. You brought it up. Okay, and so as such, when you talk about battling Goliath, you're really battling against yourself. The beast within, yes? And apparently it's a giant beast, apparently, coach. Okay, but if you stay steadfast, coach, you can still be victorious, coach. You can still be victorious. But you have to be steadfast. We'll have to wait and see.
Ain't coming to fruition, because after we're done with the siding, we're gonna build a full-length porch on our mobile home, and it's all gonna be amazing. It's all just gonna be establishing more and more abundance, and it's all gonna be a display of God's power. So we specialize, you know what I'm saying? And you can too, but we specialize in standing in the face of Goliath. Like we're at our best when we're facing opposition. Like, we love to be in that place. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're at our best when there's a giant in front of us. We're at our best when we're on the front lines. Like,
Tim talks about how they were in a season of resting up from their previous work for 10 to 12 years in the city, ministering in the city for the previous 10 to 12 years. Yes. And I'm like, how can I put this? How can I put this reaction, coach? Okay. I have to call Cap. I have to call Cap. We already went through the numbers, coach. Okay. Certainly you have not been ministering in the city for the past 10 to 12 years. You've been off. Okay. Your ministry work has been dormant for at least 5 years. Yes. You got out of prison at 24. Okay, coach? The numbers don't add up. All right, it may sound good. I know it sounds good for the Woeful Tim worshipers. Okay, when they get ready to send off that Cash App. When they get ready to hit that send button on the Venmo, yes? When they head to the post office to send you out those donations, those tithes or those offerings, yes? I know it sounds good for you to say the ministry work that we did for the past 10 to 12 years, and then you adjust your glasses, coach. All right, coach, and we know you're stretching it. When you adjust those glasses, we know you're stretching it, coach. All right. But you talk about how when you finish off the mobile home, it's going to be a reflection of God. We're going to see God written all over it, coach. And we're going to see how God could take a person such as yourself, a person that is not a trained carpenter. Okay. A person that has no training in construction work. Certainly no training electrically or plumbing wise, no training whatsoever. How you can take a person like you and push him toward completing some of these tasks around that mobile home. Yes. Okay. So now, coach, it's nice to hear you admit it, but we gotta, us longtime viewers. Okay. You don't have to be so long in your viewership. You only have to go back like a few months. A few months ago, you talked about going on to the property of some of your viewers, visiting some of your subscribers' property and actually doing some work around their homes. We knew it was a wild suggestion back then. Okay, we knew it was a wild invitation that only your woefulest of Tim worshipers, only the woefulest of the flock would invite you out to their property based upon your workmanship. Yes. Based upon your work ethic or your lack of work ethic. Yes. Okay. But nowadays, especially with what you've been seeing in the reaction channels, nowadays you're admitting that you have no skills. Okay. When it comes to carpentry and when it comes to construction. Okay. And so it's fine to tinker around your own house. Yes. Okay. But when you start visiting subscribers, unwitting subscribers, unknowing subscribers, yes? That's a whole nother story. That's a whole nother story. But good gracious, coach, let's wrap this up. I got to move on, coach. I got to move on.
have been in a season where the Lord has called us to rest and recover from the things that we did for over the last 10, 12 years, ministering in the city and on the front lines and things like that. And things may look flashy. I don't know how they're looking. I don't care. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, we're a family that's focused, dedicated, and determined on following Jesus and having our lives be completely all about God. So this renovation of this mobile home, I just want y'all to see Jesus written all over it. And in the videos to come, y'all are going to see it. Y'all are going to see how somebody like me who has no carpentry skills, like I'm not a skilled carpenter, I'm not a skilled electrician, I'm not a skilled plumber, but Jesus is. For real. And so
Tim talks about not having any skills or work ethic. He said God is going to allow them to make their mobile home as beautiful as their shed. He said it. He said it. I didn't say it. I didn't say it. Well, he said just having Jesus is going to allow them to make their mobile home as beautiful as Ernest. Ernest the shed. And he points to Ernest. And of course, you can see that the window is still cracked. And like, okay, good gracious. Okay, you can see that the brush is overgrown. Yes. Okay, we do know that the inside is urine and poop stained. We already know that. Yes. We know that there are some incompleted walls. We know that it only has 2.5 walls. We know that it has a makeshift milk crate staircase. All right. But somehow, okay, you aspire to make your mobile home, your primary residence, the place where you lay your head. Okay, you aspire to make that as good, as beautiful as the shed shack named Ernest. And I'm like, what in the world? What in the world is going on here? Good gracious, you guys. I can't take anymore. I can't take no more.
So as the Bible says, the wicked flee when no man pursues, but the righteous are as bold as a lion. And we boldly, my family boldly, is walking into this exterior mobile home remodel, having no skills, no specialty, no any of those things, but only having Jesus. And we're gonna make this thing beautiful. And it's gonna be beautiful and amazing. Just like our barn is. We're establishing more and more abundance. And so this property is going to be amazing. And it's going to display God's glory. Like God says, you don't take a lamp, like the Bible says, you don't take a lamp and put it under the table. But you take that lamp, you put it on top of the table, you plug it into its power source.
That's it for my reaction to that recent trailer trash, where Tim talks about it being a tough week, or if it was easy, everyone would do it. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Chop it up in the comments. I want to shoot out some love to my current subscribers. Thank you for showing me that love. I do appreciate it much. For those viewers that have not yet subscribed, please consider subscribing so that we can continue to shine that light. Until next time.